Hello and welcome to the EzyRoulette tutorial. In the previous video, we have handled some server responses in the Unity client, and today we are gonna set up the game scenes in the Unity. And without further ado, let's get started. Okay, let's start by running our server. Here we are, and then go to the Unity and click play. So let's enter the username and password. And from the previous video, we have successfully accessed an application on our server. And now I want to restructure the scripts folder a little bit. Add a component folder and drag the login button to it. And now I'm gonna create a new game object, namely login controller. Okay, and I also create a new folder, controller. Inside this one, I'll create a script, login controller script, and of course drag the login controller script to a corresponding game object. Alright, and now I want to open the socket proxy. Inside the app access handler, I want to define a C# event, or more accurately, an action. Public static event action. I'll create app access success event and import this one. From here, I'll invoke that method, that event, if it is not null. Okay, so basically when we successfully set up the socket client, I will emit an event to let the controller know. And now let's open the login controller. Inside this one, I don't need the start and update methods, but I'll use the awake method instead. And inside this one, I'll call to the app access handler, that the app access success event that I have just created, and then add a listener for it on app access success. Okay, let's create this method. Inside this one, I'll change to the game scenes by using the scene manager.load scene game scene. Very simple. And of course, our next step is to create the game scene in the Unity editor. Let's open the scenes folder, create new scene, namely game scene. And don't forget to add the login scene and the game scenes to the build setting. Looks good. And then let's run our client again. Enter the username and password, and you can see now we are in the game scene. Okay, so now I'm gonna work with the game scene. Let's open the game scene, and first of all I need to import some access, so I'll create a new folder, resources, and I'll drag the spin button and the wheel image to the resources folder. Okay, and I'll create an empty game object, namely wheel. Okay, and inside this one, I'll drag the wheel into it and rename the child game objects to the sprite, and reset the position to 0, 0, 0, and so there's the wheel game objects. And in the scenes, let's zoom out a little bit to see the camera range. Let's open the main camera and decrease the size a little bit so that we can see the wheel a little bit larger. Looks good now. Okay, and I'll create another game objects UI button. So this one will be the spin button, and I don't need the text, and I'll reset the position to 0, 0. Let's double click on it, and you can see here there is a source image component here. Let's drag the pin to it and then set native size. Alright, let's open the game scene. Looks good. So now let's run it, and you can see here I can click the spin but nothing happened. So we need to add a component to the wheel so that when we click the spin button, the wheel will start rotating. At the beginning state, I want the spin button point to the key, which is the first prize in our game. So I'll rotate the sprite a little bit. 22.5 looks good. And I have created a file, namely rotate wheel, which is a mono behavior. We only need to copy this one, and of course I'll explain this code to you later. The link to this file will be provided in the description of this video, so don't worry about that. And let's open the Unity editor. Inside the component, I'll create a new C# script, namely rotate wheel, and then drag it to the wheel game objects, and then edit it by paste the code that I have just copied. Okay, so in this code we have 8 slide price. So, and it starts with a key price. That's why we, at the beginning state, we want our spin button to point to a key price. And the only method that we need to care about in this component is the activate method. So basically when we call to the activate method and pass in the price argument, the wheel will start rotating for a random numbers of browse before stopping at the angles that matches this price. Okay, so I'll show you intuitively in a second. And all the below methods are supporting functions to calculate the angle that matches this price. So now let's go back to the Unity editor. In the spin button, let's add an on-click event and drag the wheel to it, and I'll call to the activate method. So you can see we can set the price value here. So let me explain it to you. If I set the price equal to 0, so after spinning, the wheel will stop at a key price. So if I set it to 4, the wheel will stop at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. This is 200 stars. And if it is 2, 0, 1, 2, it will stop at 500 stars. Okay, let's test it. Alright, it's 2 now. And click spin. You can see here the price name is 500 stars. The sprite stop at the correct angle. And let's change it to 0. The wheel should stop at a key. And let's spin it. Yeah, seems good. So basically, with a predefined value of the price, we can now animate the wheel and stop at our desired price. So that's basically all I want to show you today. And in the next video, we'll go back to our server and set up the game logic in our server. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Cheers!